Hey guys, I'm Larry Broughton, and I'm here in Orange County, California, right now. It's where I live. I've been here for more years than I want to admit right now. I grew up in rural New York, like cow country, not New York City, but where there's apple orchards and dairy farms. That's kind of where I grew up. I'm now, I own my own company. It's called Broughton Hotels. It's one of the businesses that I have. I actually own a few different businesses, but the primary business is Broughton Hotels, where we own and operate hotels, mostly boutique hotels, independent hotels. And I've been doing that for 30 some years at this point. Prior to that, I grew up in rural New York, as I said. I got into martial arts at a very young age and taught martial arts for a couple of years, and then went into the military and spent several years in the Army as a Green Beret on Special Forces A teams. Got very interested in the kind of the political process from traveling around the world, and thought that I wanted to get out of the military and be, run for political office or work for the State Department. But while I was going to college after I was in the Army, my first job was at a small motel in San Francisco. Back then, they used to call these types of motels no-tell motels. It's where a lot of nefarious, scary stuff kind of happened, drugs and that kind of thing. It was in a bad part of town. But an investment group bought this hotel and converted it into a really nice property. And that's when I really started getting interested in the hotel industry. So I've been doing that for a long time. Became a partner in my former company, where I started just as an employee, like at the bottom rung of the ladder, and worked my way up and became a partner in that company. And then I started my company, where I'm the owner, about 20 years ago now. So it's been a fun journey.
That's wonderful. Do you mind if we just jump right into student questions? Because I don't want to take too much of your time.
Love it.
So our first question comes from one of our great students all the way over in Italy. Her name is Mav. Mav, go ahead. You can ask your question.
Hi, nice to meet you, sir.
Thanks, Mav.
I would like to know, what is something really important that you have learned along the way? I mean, what is the main concept that you developed in your work?
Oh, that's a good one. Right out of the gate, we come with a good question. Thank you. Well, listen, it has nothing to do, Mev, with a skill set like, learn math or, get your degree in that. It's not. It's really two things, I would say. I wish I would have known this when I was in grade school and middle school. I'll start with this. I barely graduated high school, by the way, right near the bottom of the class. And it turns out it's not because I'm not smart. It's because I'm dyslexic. I didn't know that. I wasn't diagnosed until I was an adult that I was dyslexic. And so learning was very difficult for me. But when I was in martial arts, I learned this concept. The Greek call it arete, the pursuit of excellence in everything that we do. So I've imagined if you decided, hey, I'm going to learn this new skill, or I'm having this challenge with a relationship in my family, instead of being mad or saying, I'm just not going to do it, I'm just going to be mediocre. What if you said, I'm going to be excellent at this. I'm going to have an excellent relationship with my family members. I'm going to be excellent at school. I'm going to be excellent in my community. What if you pursued excellence in everything that you did? How would your life end up being different? Well, I can tell you, it will take you on a completely different trajectory, because most people don't live this way. Most people accept mediocrity. They're fine with it. Just good is good enough. And the other concept, Mav, is this. Do you know what the word tenacity means? Have you heard the word tenacity? Tenacity is like hanging on, having grit to struggle through the hard times, right? Well, I believe that tenacity eats talent for lunch. There are a lot of very talented people in the world, but when the going gets tough, they quit. Okay. And studies have been done on this. There's a book by Daniel Goldman called Emotional Intelligence, and it measures the difference between people who have high IQs. What did they end up doing in their life compared to people who had high EQs, the people who are willing to build relationships with people and fight through the struggle. And what they found is the people that are making real impacts on the world are not the people who have high IQs. That's great. but it's high EQs, and they have a high sense of tenacity, who are willing to fight when the going gets tough. So those are the two concepts, I think. Pursue excellence in everything you do and be absolutely tenacious.
That's absolutely wonderful advice. I think the saying is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
That's right. That's awesome. Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah.
we have a question that was emailed to me from one of the students from France, and they wanted to know, how did your time serving as a Green Beret shape how you are as a businessman?
Wow. That's another, you have some smart folks on here, man.
These are some of the most brilliant kids in the world.
Yeah.
I swear.
Clearly. All right. So a lot of people will ask this question, like, but they ask it with a sense of, really, what did your time in the Green Berets do? Like, they're skeptical of it. Well, I kind of started it with the question with Mev, right? And that is that what I learned, there's a couple of mantras in the military. One in the Army in particular says, do the hard right over the easy wrong. Okay, get your brain around that for a second. Do the hard right over the easy wrong. Oftentimes in business, I'm sorry, what's this student's name?
I didn't get an email. It was from or a name. It was from the teacher.
So the that's okay. You know, I think it's one of the challenges in business and in life right now is that people are willing to compromise on the really important stuff, like core values, integrity, ethics. And so you might think, well, what do you mean do the hard right over the easy wrong? Well, when you get into business, it's easy to start saying, well, listen, I'm going to lie about this on my taxes, or I'm going to cook the books this way, or I'm going to shade the truth a little bit that way. Well, when you do those things in any kind of relationship, then it really does become a slippery slope. It becomes easier to lie the next time, right? If you think about the relationships that you have in school, it's hard to be honest with friends sometimes. You oftentimes will tell people what you think they want to hear and not what they need to hear. But I think that if we approach life with, let's love people first. And so I'm going to give you the bad news because I love you this much. That's one of the lessons that I learned in the Green Berets, because I learned that love is so important. And it's kind of counterintuitive when you think about the Green Berets, which are arguably one of the most elite, if not the most elite military units in the world. You think these are hard guys who are kicking doors in and taking names, you know, doing really hardcore things that they don't love. Well, these people love a lot. You don't go and do what I did in the military if you don't love your country, if you don't love your family, if you don't love your way of life, if you don't love the brother to your right and to your left. You love a lot. And so I bring that spirit of love to my work, and it attracts good people to me, right? The other thing is, what I learned in business is I hire the most talented people that I can, and I let them do their job. Too many business owners hire people and then they micromanage them, right? And in special forces, you don't do that, because everyone on a special forces A team, there's 12 guys, they all have above average intelligence, pretty high IQs. They have their alpha males, they're hard charging. And in any other environment, they would be fighting all the time. But what we find is that because we believe in the same mission, we get a lot done. And so in my businesses that I have, I make sure that the people that I bring into the organization know what our mission is. They know what our core values are. And that way they're willing to subordinate their own personal agenda for the success of the team. And that's really important. If anybody's ever played on a sports team, right, you've got to do that. An effective team, you know, all the individuals subordinate their individual goals for the efforts of the team. And that's really important in business. So those are a couple of things I learned in the Green Berets. Plus the thing I talked to Mev about earlier is being absolutely tenacious, just not giving up when the going gets tough. Good question. I hope I answered it.
No, you absolutely did. And, you know, all the stuff that I've been reading about and the stuff that I've seen online is that you really play to your employees' strengths and
to do that.
Don't micromanage.
Well, that thing about strengths, one second on that, is that's what they do in the military, but specifically in the Army. In special forces. They identify what your strengths are, develop those strengths. Don't worry about the weaknesses, because someone else on the team's strengths will augment your weaknesses. And so we do a lot of strength-based assessments. the Colby A Index, the Gallup Strength Finders, and then we fit them into a role that suits their personality. Because if you guys have a family member or a mother or father who feels like they just get burned out at work all the time and life is a grind, it's probably because they're working outside of their strengths, right? Think about classes that you take. The classes that are very difficult for you are probably ones that don't play to your strengths. The ones that come easy to you, that's one of your strengths. So we try to incorporate that into our business.
Absolutely, and that's a really good point. So we have a couple more questions, then we'll let you go. But we have a question from Pablo in Spain, and he wants to know, out of all of, and I'll add a little bit to it, out of all of the awards that you've ever been given professionally. So I know when we ask, like, what are you most proud of? People always go with family, but professionally, what are you most proud of? Because you have Entrepreneur of the Year from Ernst & Young, Veteranpreneur of the Year for National Veteran-Owned Business Association, Visionary of the Year, National Leader of Integrity. I mean, there's a massive list of awards that you've won. So yeah. What is one that really you hold near and dear to your heart?
Well, I'll say this. When I got Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year award, I literally, it's a big black tie event, and there's hundreds of businesses there, and they interview your attorneys and your investors and your CPA. I mean, it's very intensive. I literally got up and say, I thought they made a mistake. I couldn't believe it. Right. So that was pretty, that's up there. But the one that I am most proud of, I guess, although, you know, pride is one of the 7 deadlies, so I try not to, that I'm most honored by, is the National Leader of Integrity, Business Leader of Integrity Award. To have people like, and by the way, I don't submit for these. These are people who nominate me or my company for this. To have people around me feel like this person is worthy to even be nominated for an award on integrity of all things, and for it to be a national award in business. And, you know, around the world, there are a lot of people who feel like if you're a business owner, you know, you're an enemy of the people, right? You're a bad guy if you own a business. But the truth is, entrepreneurship has lifted more people out of poverty than any other social program around the world. And so I think that I have a moral obligation to do good through it. And so that's really the one that I think is most important and I'm most honored by. And it's the one I want my kids, when they grow up, once they realize what that is, to say, wow, my dad was part of that. Because now that it's out there publicly, and I make sure and put it on my website and all of that, because I want people to hold me accountable. I don't hide that award. I say, yeah, this is who we are, not to brag, but to say, hold me accountable, hold my team accountable. Some of you folks, if you're here in the US, you know this company. The guy who received the award the next year after me was Dan Cathy from Chick-fil-A. So that's a pretty amazing organization as well. So that we both received that award, it's like that I'm even in that arena makes me think, holy smokes. It's
that's like American history of entrepreneurs, like where you have those big time names.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'll ask the final question. So as someone who's made it in your life, as someone who has, you know, gone all the way from the bottom, all the way from the top in your industry, what kind of advice would you have for these kids as they kind of go out into the world and figure out what they want to pursue?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I don't know that I have made it yet. In fact, I know I've not made it yet. I'm still cooking, as I'd say. I'm still getting better every day. But I would say this, you know, in your 20s, just explore, you know, do the best that you can at everything you do, pursue excellence, just go have fun and explore a lot of different things in your 20s. I think there is such this frenetic pace. I got to figure it out while I'm in high school. I've got to figure it out while I'm in college. Well, guess what? Rarely do people ever do that. Try a bunch of different things in your 20s. You know, be working towards goals for sure. But then in your 30s, start getting it together. Okay. But don't sell out. Don't sell out. That's one of the things, when you start compromising your integrity, that will haunt you for the rest of your life. I mean, unless you have a faith life where you can surrender and say, you know, my past is my past. I'm not who I used to be. Then it's fine, right? But have fun, have fun. Find something that you really are passionate about. Um, be honest with the people that you love, even when it's hard. You know, I'll be honest. I was married at one point. I got a divorce because, I wasn't being honest with her about some stuff that was going on in my business. And I decided I need to change. And it's never too late to change. It's never too late to change. But pursue joy, serve other people. Mother Teresa was famous for saying this, but I think other people have said it as well. There's no higher calling than serving other people. And so when you don't know what to do, maybe it's for the day or for the week or a season in your life, find someone else to serve. Don't serve yourself, serve someone else. And the moon and the stars have a way of aligning and rewarding you for that. I believe that it's God, but serve other people first.